Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my respectful obeisances unto your feet.
Accept my obeisance, Prabhupada. Om Ahyanatimanasya Sananjana Shaka Sakshan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigave Namo Chichaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Svyamrupkadamam Dadati Svapadam Tikam Vandeham Shigo Shiyuda Padakamanam Shigum Vaishnavam Sham Shirupam Jagajatam Sakanaraganotam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parchana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakarita Shakam Vitam Sham Hey Krishna Karuna Sinudina Bhanavat Pate Gopesha Gopakanta Radha Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanashva Vrishabhama Sitadevi Panamama Haripri Pankha Kalpa Visha Kripa Sindhve Visha Patnam Pavanapyo Vaishnavyanam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Kamala Bhaktavina Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Vashani Vishesha Srinyavadi Bhaskachan Tisatan Srila Prabhupada Ki. So today we will discuss the remainder of chapter 16, the divine and the demonic natures. Last lesson we discussed the first 3 verses, which describe the divine qualities. And we discussed 26 qualities, which are here on the board. So in the 15th chapter, we heard in the beginning about a banyan tree with its roots up and its leaves down. So this, if one develops divine qualities, then one goes up in the tree, means goes closer to the root, closer to the spiritual world, where the original tree is. But today we will discuss the demonic qualities. And these demonic qualities, Srila Prabhupada describes as the royal road to hell. That we will start with text 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dambodharpa Vimanascha Kodapayo Samevacha Akhyanam Sabyatasya Bhakta Sampatam Ashurim. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. So Srila Prabhupada writes, this verse describes the royal road to hell. Demoniac persons, they are proud of their material or spiritual advancement. They just make a show of religion that and their religion is a show because they don't accept any of the principles. They don't accept any spiritual authority. It's not Renata Pisunichana Torah Visalisana Amana Madana Kirtana Sudahari. No, this is the opposite. They are not giving all respect to others and not for themselves. No, they demand respectability without commanding respect. Thus, they pave the road to hell, Srila Prabhupada says, because they desire to be worshipped by others. And about trifling things, they fight. They speak harshly words, become angry. So they do as it feels. When it feels good, let's do it. So they do everything whimsically as they desire. They don't recognize any authority. That is the demoniac nature, pride, arrogance, conceit, harshness. So, of course, Arjuna is hearing that, and I was wondering, do I have these qualities? I'm going to kill my family member. So am I in that category of the demons? So therefore Krishna says, Devi Sampat Vimokshaya Nibandaya Suri Mata Machucha Sampadam Devim Apichatu Sipandava. The transcendental qualities are conducive for liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. So Krishna is encouraging Arjuna, don't worry, you are born with the divine qualities. So he's telling Arjuna, you were not born with these demonic qualities. Because Arjuna will engage in a battle under the instruction of Krishna. So his involvement in the battle was not for selfish purposes. But we will see at the end of Bhagavad Gita to carry out Krishna's orders. So therefore, his fighting was not demoniac. But Arjuna is broad-minded, soft-hearted. Therefore, he considers the pros and the cons. So, at the end of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada writes, anyone who performs the regulative principles of the different orders of life is transcendentally situated. Yeah, so that's the Varnashram. If you do your duty in the Varnashram, or you do your duty according to your psychophysical nature, in accordance with the scriptures, then you are transcendentally situated. But because the scriptures say, Shachnata, Karmayoga Yatra Lokram, Karmabandhana. You have to do all your activities for the pleasure of Krishna. And then it becomes transcendental. That, now text 6. What's the difference between the life of the demoniac and the life of a divine person? Text 6. Vabhuta sarvala lokesmin deva shuraiva Devam Vishtarasa Pokta Ashuram Partameshvino. A son of Pritha, in this world, there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I've already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. So one is called divine and the other demoniac. Two kinds of living entities.
आपने बच्चों के नाम नंबर भेजे कि नहीं नहीं भेजे तो उनको नंबर भेजो बच्चों.
So those who are divine, they are following a regulated life. And those who are demoniac, they are following an unregulated life. So what is regulated life? The life according to rules and regulations. Which rules and regulations? These are explained in the injunctions of the scriptures by the authorities. So in our line, Guru Pampara, our lifestyle is described in terms of these instructions. You have to get up early in the morning, attend Mangalarti, chant the holy names of the Lord, worship the deity, offer your food to the deity, and then hear about Krishna. And then we do our work for Krishna. In the evening we chant and we hear about Krishna. That's very regulated. But and these are, Srila Prabhupada calls these regulations the regulations of freedom. Because by that your heart becomes purified and you escape gradually the control of the modes of material nature. You become transcendently situated. But the demoniac, they think, yes, I don't want to be controlled by these rules and regulations. I do what I want. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, one who does not follow the regulative principles as they are laid down in the scriptures and who acts according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric. So we have the divine, they are obeying to the scriptures, the Vedic literature. And asuric, they do not. So therefore, Krishna said before, yes, we have the Devi Sampat, those who are transcendentally situated devotees, and the Asura Sampat, the demoniac. And now further qualities, bad qualities from the demons. text 7. Pravitim shana vitim shanjanana vidulasya nachalsana pitacharo nasatyam tesha vidyate. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. So these are a lot of qualities that so what we are going to see in this chapter is, first the nature of the demon, and that is what we're hearing now. Then we will hear about his philosophy, his mentality, the results he gets, and the actions he performs. So they are all described here on the screen. But we will come further at the end, but now we are describing the nature that and then in next verse we will hear about the philosophy. Then we hear about the mentality, the results, and the action. So pravitim shana vityam shana nachana na vidarashura nachalshina pi chacharo nasatyam te vidyate. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what not to be done. Neither cleanliness and proper behavior nor truth is found in them. Self-centered. So one description of a demon is a description, and they have faith in the scriptures. Demons are not clean, that not internally, not externally. Sometimes they look externally very clean, but internally their subtle body is unclean, full of envy, lust, anger, and so on. That's internal cleanliness. How can we get the external cleanliness, Srila Prabhupada? Right? You take a shower 2-3 times a day. And internally, you chant the names of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But this, yes, demons are neglecting these injunctions. Then in the second part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about women. I just read what Prabhupada is saying here. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this has not improved the social condition of the world. Women should be given protection at every stage. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by her husband in her youth, and by her grown-up sons in old age. So the thing is if women are nicely protected, they will feel more happy. Today is a horrible situation in the world that women are in a dangerous position many times just by going outside in the street. That Srila Prabhupada writes the social condition of women is just not very good. That the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. that peaceful society is Varnashram system. The Varnashram system, everyone cooperates for Haritoshnam, serving the Supreme Lord. And in the Varnashram system, nobody had to be worried for his protection. The Kshatriyas would protect everyone. That and the Brahmanas would give free education. And the Vaishyas, they would feed everyone. So everyone's needs were automatically fulfilled. Today, it's only a dream for many in the world. Text 8. That text 8. Let's go back to the... Yeah, now we will hear about the philosophy. That the philosophy, text 8. Yeah. And then we will start to hear from onwards their mentality. But what is their philosophy? Underpinning for the philosophy of everything. That this philosophy, I have first to share again. Okay, we are nearly there. This text 8. Asatyanapatishtam jagat aur anishvaram aparaspara sambhutam kimam yakam ahaitukam. They say that the world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire, and there is no other cause than lust. That so Srila Prabhupada writes, the demoniac conclude that the world is phantasmagoria. There is no cause, effect, no control, and no purpose. That everything arises by chance. It's like the scientists say, everything comes from a big bang, from one point. A big bang, and then the creation was there. That, but that's not science. That's science fiction. That, but that's their belief. A big bang. Yeah. They don't think that the world was created for a certain purpose. That for them there is no difference between spirit and matter. They do not accept a Supreme Lord and a Paramatma. Everything is only matter. Like when Srila Prabhupada when he came in Russia, he went to see a professor who was specialized in the Vedas. And what was his conclusion? That so he said to Prabhupada, at the end of life, everything is finished. They did not believe that there was a soul or whatever. Everything is finished. That's the demoniac. That therefore their lives are full of misery. That they don't understand anything from spiritual matters. That and they think life is a dream. say life is a dream, but they are very expert in enjoying that dream. Srila Prabhupada said but they become very much entangled in that dreamland. That for them there is only a combination that has produced the living entities. Combination of matter. They say that consciousness comes from matter. Consciousness is produced by the brain. But they cannot explain that if someone has a heart transplant and his heart is not beating during the operation and the brain activity is zero, still many of those who underwent operations like this, after the operation, they told, I was like floating above the operation theater and I could hear what the nurse was saying to the doctor. And they tell what they have, what they recall, and then they could see the lamps in the ceiling and the letters on it. And that's all verified, that's correct. But their brain, zero brain activity. How can they explain? Means consciousness comes not from the brain. That's the reality. But for them, there is only a combination of matter. And that produced life, they think. They do not believe Krishna, who says, Maya Dakshina Prakati Chutaseta Characharam. It is under my control. Everything is moving in this world. So these demons have no perfect knowledge. According to them, these scriptures, one scripture is as good as another. They do not believe in the standard explanation of the scriptures. They assert the creation is come about by chance. They say there is no God in control. That's their philosophy. That's the basis. No God in control. Everything is going on by sex, desire, and lust. Because that is what they want. So now the text 9. Etat vristim avastabhya nastat manal pabudayam pavantyuga karmana ksayo charatoita. Here we hear the results. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, while lost to themselves, have no intelligence, engaged in unbeneficial, horrible work meant to destroy the world. So modern civilization is going to destruction. And you can see that. You can see the oceans are so polluted that, yes. Then you have the weapons, atomic weapons. You have all the fuel, the fossil fuel that brings a lot of pollution, changes the climate, and so healthy. They destroy everything. All their factories, Srila Prabhupada says, Ukra karma, activities meant to destroy the world. So many Ukra karma factories, hellish factories, Srila Prabhupada says that So essential here is to understand that these demons, they don't know what to do and what not to do. They follow their own whims. They have no discrimination. This is right and this is wrong. And that is a quality or a characteristic of the mode of passion. That yes, they are lost to themselves. Let's hear what Srila Prabhupada says in the middle of the purport. Such materialistic inventions are considered to be advancement of human civilization, but the result is that people grow more and more violent and more cruel to animals, cruel to human beings. Yeah, if you follow the wars that are going on, it's just so cruel. They destroy everything, kill everyone. Everything that's in the way is that Srila Prabhupada said, indirectly, this anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons. About the nuclear weapons, Srila Prabhupada said, they will use them. And when he was in Amsterdam, he said, these people will in the future live under the ground. So these atomic weapons are only created for the destruction of the world. And that's due to their godlessness. They are not meant to maintain the peace in the world, to give us peace and prosperity. No, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. But now we will hear about all these demoniac qualities, which is described their mentality. So text 10. Kamana sitya dushpuram dambamanamadam vita moachehit fasakan pavartante chuchi vata. Taking shelter of the insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of false pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work attracted by the impermanent. Unclean work. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport here that is the beginning of the mentality, demoniac mentality. They are full of anxiety on account of accepting non-permanent things. So a devotee is not interested in extending one's possessions for one's sense gratification. No, it's just further entanglement, that's all. But that's their goal. They have no knowledge. They are going straight in the wrong way. And what is the result? That they become more and more attracted to two things. That sex enjoyment and wealth. That's what they want. That although, they are gliding to hell, they consider themselves very much advanced. Very much advanced. But, so Shintam aparimeyam cha palayantam pasvita kama bhoga parama etavat iti nishita asapasa santebada kama koda parayana yante kama bhogaktam anyananakta sanyayam. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of their anxiety is immeasurable, bound by a network of hundreds and thousands of desires, and absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by illegal means and for sense gratification. So they are always running after non-permanent sex enjoyment and material wealth. That's always the theme here. That's what they desire. They think sense gratification is the ultimate goal of life. So yes, that the Charvaka philosophy in India is the same. Yes, go for enjoyment. By hook or crook, get sense and mind, get riches that you enjoy. If you have to borrow, steal, it doesn't matter what. Make sure you get it. That is the Sarvakas. So they think sense enjoyment is the goal of life. The goal of life is to enjoy. But enjoy what? The body. The devotees also say life is for enjoyment. But enjoyment of the soul, and that we get by serving Krishna with love. Different enjoyment. So they do not believe in life after death because they are short-sighted. They have no idea where they come from before birth, where they go after. They think there's just nothing. And by that, life after life, they take new bodies according to their karma and due to their activities in this world. And the enjoyment they get, so the enjoyment they get, yes, it's very temporary. The enjoyment they get is predestined by their previous lives. You take birth, all your happiness and distress is destined. And you cannot change it. You can not even prolong 1 second your so-called enjoyment. That's explained in the Bhagavatam. Tashevaita prayotet kopido nalapyate pramatam yaparata nalapyate dukava anyato sukam kalin surato kabir ramasa. One should search in this life for the highest truth, for that happiness which is not available in this world. And should seek for that happiness which is not available from the lowest to the highest planet. But one's happiness in this world, one's happiness is predestined. Like one gets suffering, one gets happiness. We don't want the suffering, but it comes on its own accord, and happiness will also come on its own accord. Paramakarunapur, you wanted to ask something? No. Okay.
Can you hear me?
So,
Maharaj, in the initial chapters, we discussed this philosophy quite a few times that that these people who are influenced by the false ego, when they're influenced by the false ego, then become puppet of material nature, and the material nature makes us do things. We do them in the influence of modes of passion and ignorance. So there's a state of demonic people that we are studying right now. These verses, who should we attribute this behavior to? Like what part of the behavior should we attribute to the individuals, the souls who have become demons, and what part is now undertaken by the material nature? So if you can help decode this thing, it'll be very helpful.
in Kali Yuga, the demon and the divine is in one body. So we have all our divine and our demoniac part. We must get rid of the demoniac part. That's called the purification of the heart. The demon thinks, there is only lust and greed. And for the demon, that's normal if you don't have that. You are not a normal person in this world. But we must purify ourselves and develop these divine qualities and purify ourselves from these demoniac qualities. So this is a big exercise for us. We are hearing that and we are asking, who are these demons? These demons are in our heart. We have to get it out. That we should not too quick think, oh, the demons are only out there and I am a good person. No. That it is also within us. That because a demon has no knowledge of the Vedic scripture. Before we came to Krishna consciousness, what was our knowledge of the scriptures? Usually not much. Means yes, if you don't know the scriptures, then how can you do what to do and what not to do? You act whimsically. Means we act as demons. So this is a good exercise, and in the next verses from 30 until 15, we will hear about this mentality. What does the demon think? That so he thinks. First, read the Sanskrit. Idamatyamaha labdam imam papshe manovatam idam astridamapi me bhavishyati punardanam ashamaya hasa satruh amishye cha paramapi ishvaram maham bhogi sidram balavam supi adyo bijanavam asmik konyastre satusho maya yakshe dashami modisya iti ajnana vimohita. So the demoniac person thinks so much, well, do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and I will increase it in the future more and more. He's my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I'm the enjoyer. I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. I'm the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifice. I shall give some charity. and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. So that is their mentality. Aneka Vipranta.
Maharaj,
Yes,
so just one question.
please.
Maharaj, such personalities are not probably following shastras. They're not paying scripture injunctions. So how do they become rich and and maybe take birth in aristocratic families?
This question was asked by someone to Bhakti Saraswati Maharaj. He said the demons, they seem to be flourishing and happy. How is that possible? And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, yes, Krishna let it go for some time until their karma is exhausted. And then it's finished. So yeah, by their karma, they can enjoy for some time. But then, certain moment, finished. All done. Yes. And but they get the happiness according to their karma. They get riches because they have probably done also some good work in previous life. But it's always mixed. Yes. But at a certain time it's finished. See that also, if you see this war in the Ukraine, people are living happy. I was in Mariupol in 2019. I put the foundation stone of the temple they were building there. And now Mariupol, everything is gone. I was in contact with the devotees there, with the temple president. And before the war started, he moved to Crimea. That's the Russian part, much more lower. And then when the battle was over, he returned. And his house was still there, and the temple was still there. And all the devotees are fine. But because they left the place, there are 120 devotees, they all left. But for many people who were not devotees, it was the end of their life. They were enjoying, good, and then finished at a certain moment. All done. That then slowly death comes, the result of their sinful activities. But yeah. But what are their results? Their results. Let's see here. Nope. The analysis of the demon, that's what we are doing today. But so we discussed the nature, we discussed their philosophy, and we heard now about their mentality. But what's their result? That Anekashita Vipranta Majala Samavita Pashakta Kama Bhogesu Patanti Narake Chucha. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusion, they become strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. So the demon thinks, I believe in my own strength. I work hard and I will get the wealth and I will get the enjoyment. I will do it. That he thinks that he gets the wealth by his own endeavor. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, no, he gets the wealth not by his endeavor, by his previous karma. He gets the wealth. But he thinks it's by my endeavor. I've done it. That, but it's not so simple. In the 11th canto, there you have the story of Dattatreya. He's a liberated person. And King Yadu, I think, asked this liberated person, how did you become liberated? And said, oh, I learned from 24 gurus. I learned from nature. So what he said, one day I saw a beehive. And in the beehive was honey collected by many thousands of bees. And then a honey thief came and stole all the honey from the beehive. And he concluded, yes, it's not worthwhile to get all this wealth, because it's not sure, even if I get all this wealth, that I will be able to enjoy it. And I see that's many times true. People get a lot of wealth, and then suddenly the tax collector comes and takes it away. Oh, there's a divorce, you lose everything. So it's not sure you will enjoy it. But they think, yeah, I got it by my endeavor and I'm going to enjoy it. And so they don't believe in the law of karma. That it's all accidental and it's all due to my personal power. And everyone who becomes my competitor is my enemy. Therefore, there's always strife between enemies in this world. You see that constantly. On the economic level, the wars that are going on. Each demoniac person thinks that he can live at the sacrifice of others. Because that's exploitation. You live at the cost of others. You think you go on vacation, I pay for my holiday, I go on vacation, but at the holiday site where you have your vacation, people must work very hard to serve you. It's at the expense of others almost. But yes, they say, throw God out, God is dead. Nietzsche, God is dead. Yeah. There was some graffiti on the wall. Someone wrote, God is dead, Nietzsche. And another person came and wrote underneath, Nietzsche is dead, God. Anyway, that's, but they think like that. They don't believe in performing yagyas and sacrifices. That they are like Ravan. Ravan means I want to separate Sita from Ram, and Sita is for me. So if I want to enjoy Krishna's and energies. Separate from Krishna and it's for my enjoyment. That's the demoniac. But the devotees, they want Sita and Ram together, Radha and Krishna together. In Vrindavan, everyone wants to bring Radha and Krishna together. That's the difference. So Ravan, Srila Prabhupada writes, wanted to make a staircase to heaven so that people do not need to perform the sacrifice in the Vedas anymore. They could just go to heaven. So further about their mentality, text 17. Atma sambhavita stapta dhanamana madam vitam. Yantina majahyaste tabena vidi purvakam. Thinking themselves all in all and not caring for any authority or scriptures, the demoniac performs so-called religious or sacrificial sacrifices. Yeah. So self-complacent, always impotent, all deluded by wealth and false prestige. They sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without any following any rules or regulations. So they want some honor by that. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada said they manufacture their own God. Avidi Purvakam. That means that they have no disregard. They have disregard for rules and regulations. Yeah. So, yeah, in ignorance, in illusion. So, text 18, further about their mentality. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. So they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They think themselves independent in every powerful action. And by that, they don't believe in the next life, they don't prepare for the next life. That demon means I'm against the Supreme Personality of God. I'm against God. I'm against God's control. And they don't like the scriptures. They don't like to believe in it. They are envious of Krishna. That envious is caused by their attachment to wealth and by their attachment to their strength. And they don't know that this life prepares them for the next life. They don't care about it. They commit violence. So they think themselves independent and powerful in any action. And when there is an enemy, they will make sure he's not there soon anymore. So yes. Now I want to show a few verses. Yeah. I think we go to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1, chapter 12, the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, 28. After acquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. So that's in the Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada speaks about material knowledge, that and how the material world is full of anxiety. That material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. And that's at the point with the demoniac. And all the teachings in this material, on this planet, that they teach material knowledge. And material knowledge is based on the philosophy that we are the body. That is underlying in all teachings, in all schools. We are the body. But Srila Prabhupada, that philosophy means to seek after the right knowledge of one's own self, or the knowledge of self-realization. Without self-realization, philosophy is the right speculation or a waste of time and energy. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge for one's own self. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of God. So material attachment is caused by this demoniac mentality. By hearing Bhagavatam, we get free from it. The material world is fearfulness. Its prisoners are always fearful, as within a prison house. In a prison house, no one can violate the rules and regulations, and violating the rules means another term for the extension of prison life. And that's what they are doing. They get another prison life, which is worse than the previous one. Similarly, we in this material existence are always fearful. This fearfulness is called anxiety. Everyone in the material world, in all species of life, is full of anxiety, either by breaking or without breaking the laws of nature. Liberation of mukti means getting relief from these constant anxieties. So their anxiety is immeasurable of these demons. This is possible only when the anxiety is changed to devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us a chance to change the quality from anxiety from matter to spirit. So from changing the quality from matter to spirit, the quality of anxieties. It's interesting, changing the quality of anxiety from matter to spirit. This is done in association of a learned philosopher like Sukadev Goswami, the great son of Srila Vyasadeva. Now it breaks it after receiving a warning of his death, took of this opportunity by association with Sukadev Goswami and the desired result. So yes, that they take shelter of lust is demoniac. That so they have different levels of anxiety. But what's the difference between material and spiritual anxiety? It seems if we hear the Bhagavatam, the gopis are suffering from separation from Krishna. Arjuna is suffering that the Pandavas in so many ways. Or is their suffering different from our suffering? Different from these demonic people? There's a difference between material and spiritual suffering. Material suffering means I'm attached to things in this world. And if something happens with these things that I'm attached to, if a relation breaks, if someone steals my car, I feel pain because I think it's mine. Attachment is there. There's I'm mine. Therefore, I'm suffering in this world. That's material suffering. But this devotee suffering is caused by attachment to Krishna. So there's no material side, there's no I and mine. Therefore, their suffering is spiritual, not material. And spiritual means it is like the feelings of separation from the residents of Vrindavan from Krishna, their suffering was a sign of love and was ecstasy, spiritual ecstasy. But that's something in the conditioned state we cannot understand. But that's explained in the Bhagavatam, and that's what Srila Prabhupada explains in this verse. Changing from material to spiritual, your exciting. Good, any questions on this part? Otherwise, we will break for 10 minutes. See the time now. The time is 8:05, so 8:15 we assume for the last part of the chapter, the last 5 verses of chapter 16. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes. Hare Krishna. We will continue. We'll continue with the last 5 verses, the last section, chapter 16, verses 19 till 24. And we are discussing the demoniac nature. In this last section, Krishna will speak about the result. What will happen then, especially after death. And he will highlight their 3 main problems: lust, anger, and greed. And lust, anger, and greed, Krishna says, leads them to hell. And we should avoid this lust, anger, and greed. But that's the problem of our heart also. The purification of the heart means get rid of lust, anger, and greed. And then he ends the chapter with saying there are 2 main differences between the divine and the demoniac. The demoniac, they act whimsically, do not follow the scripture, and the devotee follows the scripture. Therefore, one should always act, whatever we do in life, based on the scripture, on the evidence of the scripture. That is Krishna's conclusion. Then in the 17th chapter, Arjuna will say, yes, but if one is not really demoniac and not really divine, is between what happens with them. And that's divisions of faith. That's the next chapter. So text 19. Well, 19. Bring it on the screen. We go back to Bhagavad Gita 16. 19. Tamam Tvishitakuram Sansare Samaradnam Kshipam Ajasrama Subham Ashraf Eva Jonishan. Those who are envious and mischievous, while lost among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of hell. He cast them to demonic species. Looks quite cool, putting them in demonic species. That the Christians, they say that the sinful people, they go to hell forever. One life and you go to hell forever, and you cannot come out anymore. That's so cruel. But Krishna cast them in demonic species, even if they enter animal species, healthy, they will come up again. And after many, many lifetimes, they get again a chance. So in that sense, yeah, they are always given a chance, but it takes a long time going to this lower species. So in this verse, it is clearly indicated that the placing of a particular individual soul in a particular body is the prerogative of the Supreme Will. Under supervision, that's also described in the Bhagavatam. This verse, Karamana Devanetrana, it is under superior supervision that one is put in the wombs of, here it is, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:31:1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Karmana Devanetrena Chantu Dea Papate Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumsareta Kanasraya. Personality of Godhead said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the results of his work, the living entity, the soul is made to enter into the womb of a woman through a particular of male semen to assume a particular body, type of body. That's under Karmana Devanetrana, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. Yes, it's also mentioned in this purport. It refers to this verse, the third canto, which is verse 3:31:1, if you are interested to check it. So for the demoniac, it's clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons, and thus they continue to be envious of the lowest mankind. Such demonic species of life are held to be always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean. But you see people driving in a very nice car in all luxuries. Then inside they are fighting with each other. Yes, demonic species of life. So it means one may act according to his own whims. I do what I want, but in the next birth is dependent on the decision of the Supreme Lord. He's going to decide that, and not they will not decide. That so demonic persons take repeated births in the families of demons. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. So text 20. Ashram yonin apana muda chanmani mama papsheva kantya tatayanti yadanam gatim. After repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, a son of Kunti, a person can never approach me. Surely they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So we say God is all merciful, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. But here we find that God is never merciful to the demoniac. They go down and they achieve bodies like cats, dogs, and hogs. But of course, we know from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does not have any hatred to anyone. So because Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, that's important. The placing of the Asuras, the demons, in the lowest status of life is simply another feature of his mercy. Now, sometimes we see that the Lord kills the demons. That's good for the demons. Yes, they have to learn a lesson. We are here in this world, in a prison house, to learn lessons. So they take birth also, these demons, amongst cat, dogs, and hogs. And if they are fortunate, they may be killed by the Lord. Text 21. That is these three vidam, these three gates, naraka, the hell. Trivatam narakasya tam tvaram nashnam atmana atma kama koda tata lobas tasma eva trayam trayat. So kama, koda, and loba. These are the three gates. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give this up, for they lead to degradation of the soul. that's if you want to begin a demon, want to become a demon, that's the way. You start with developing lust, anger, and greed. That these are the 3 gates to hell, and every sane man should avoid them. Srila Prabhupada says. So if we feel these things in our heart, should be an alarm bell. Stop. That 22, I mean. That's, yeah. Ete vimukta kauntya tvamudvarasya tribhinara ashratyat manashriyas tatyat paramaratim. Man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, perform acts conducive to self-realization. To self-realization. And thus surely attains the supreme destination. Acts conducive to self-realization. So the Vedas are there to help us to raise above these 3 gates, lust, anger, and greed, and then to make us engage in devotional service. That's the purpose of the Vedas. So these are 3 enemies of all the humans, lust, anger, and greed. That the more we are free from lust, anger, and greed, the more we become pure. That so in the Vedas teaches us how to purify us. That the whole method is based on giving up lust, anger, and greed. So the realization of giving that up is devotional service. That to come gradually to that realization, there is the Varnashram system. That with different rules and regulations, that and if a person follows these rules and regulations, then he will come to a higher and higher platform, finally to the spiritual platform, and obtain liberation. That so the Vedas are designed by the Lord to gradually raise the conditioned soul above the influence of these 3 gates and turn into devotional service. That now Lord Krishna speaks in verses 23 and 24 about first the demons and then to the devotees and their relationship to the scripture. First the demons. Yashastra vidamuchcha vartate kamakartana sasitima vapnoti nasakamna paramgatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions, acts according to his own whims, attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. So if one does not follow the scripture, acts whimsically on the basis of lust, anger, and greed, then he will never reach the perfection in life. And in the Sanskrit word that Krishna uses is kamakarata. A person who knowingly violates the rules, acts in lust. He knows that it is forbidden, but still he acts. This is acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, and still he does not do so. Therefore, it's called whimsical. So the human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence, and one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness. So we must follow rules and regulations to purify us, and we heard that also before in the 5th chapter, verse 11. Kayena manasab buddhya kevala vinyarapi yogana karvakora famti sanghantya sudaya. The yogis are done abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. They act for the purpose of purification with body, minds, and intelligence. A little further, Krishna states the same thing in different words in 5:17. Tat buddhyas tadatmas tat nishtas tat parayana gacchanta panaravitam jnanirtu takalmasa. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuse are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes cleansed of misgivings to complete knowledge and proceed straight on the path of liberation. So we have to follow our body, mind, to use our body, mind, and words in the service of the scripture according to the rules and regulations. Vaidisana Bhakti. Then our heart will become purified. If this lust and anger and greed goes, then we get knowledge. Knowledge. Also what Rupa Goswami says in the Bhakti Rasamrita, how to act as a spiritual soul. Hiyayasya redasya karmana manasa kiri. Nikala shapavastasya jivan mukta sauchate. One should act with one's body, mind, word, convictions in the service of the Supreme Lord. And then one acts on the liberated platform, one acts as a spirit soul. So one uses one's body, mind, and words for the sake of pleasing the Supreme Lord. But one must act according to these rules and regulations of scriptures for purification. And so that, of course, one may know the scriptural rules, but one acts against it under the influence of lust, anger, and greed. It becomes controlled by this lust, anger, and greed, and makes you act against the scriptures, although you know them. In the beginning, we may also have that. We want to follow all the rules and regulations and not overeat, but then, yeah, it happens. That can we do? Lust, anger, and greed gets the overhand. Avitam jnana netena jnanina mithyavarinam kamrupena kantya dushprananalenasam. This lust is burning like fire, and you want more and more and more. And you become a victim from it. It covers your intelligence. There you go. As I said before, even one of the roaming senses can destroy you. Lust comes in the senses. You see something, but you are not supposed to see a bit too long. And the lust is in your system. Yes. Therefore, the conclusion is Tasmashastram pramanamte, Tasvashastram pramanamte, Karyakara vyavastita, Yatvashastra vidanaktam, Karma karta vidanasya. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulation of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that one becomes healthy, elevated. But, so all rules and regulations are meant for knowing Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes, if one understands Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and becomes situated in Krishna consciousness and engages himself in devotional service, he has reached the highest perfection of knowledge offered by the Vedic literature. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes this process very easy. He asks people simply to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and engage in devotional service and take prasad. That's part of the program. That's what the scriptures say. So what should be done and what should not be done should be done or based on the scriptures. So, because we heard before, also in Shir Upanishad in the beginning, the scriptures, they are free from 4 defects, that therefore we should follow this, the 4 defects: imperfect senses, the propensity of cheating, making mistakes, and being in illusion. That are the 4. So, Srila Prabhupada concludes, in human society, aversion to the principles of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all fall down. This is the greatest offense of human life. Therefore, Maya, the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always giving trouble in the shape of the threefold miseries. So if you don't follow the scriptures, you have to suffer. And that's to bring us to our senses. That's a function of Maya, and she's very good in that. So one has to raise himself at least to the mode of goodness before the path to understanding the Supreme Lord can be opened. So lust, anger, and greed is a mode of passion and ignorance. You have to come to above, to goodness. Yeah, to goodness, then you can start something to understand something about Krishna and about yourself, about our relationship. So without coming to this goodness, one remains in passion and ignorance, and that's the cause of demonic life. So those in the passion and ignorance, they deride the scriptures, they deride the holy man, they deride Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and they disobey. They don't care for the regulations of the scriptures. But one who is directly engaged in devotional service is to be understood to have studied all the Vedic scriptures and to come to the perfect conclusion. Those who are not in Krishna consciousness are advised to follow the scriptures so that they can elevate them above lust, anger, and greed. And come to the mode of goodness where they can understand who Krishna is, who they are. So we learned here from text 19. Text 19. I read it again. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast in the ocean of material existence into various demoniac species of life. So who is responsible for our destiny? We are responsible by our actions. Who decides about our destiny? It's Krishna. In verse 20, where it's described how the asuras were put in different demonic species of life, we spoke about God's mercy, that this is God's mercy, so that they get their reactions. And then shall they realize the miseries of demonic life and become more inclined to follow the scriptures. But unfortunately, if they are really demoniac, Krishna says, yes, in 21, I cast them in, well, I'm casting them into hell. That text 20, and text 21, lust, anger, and greed, degradation of the soul, that they have no chance of liberation. They are going into the opposite direction. that, of course, we can say what comes first, giving up lust or acting properly. But yeah, I would say you try to act properly following the scriptures, and then you will be purified from the lust. You cannot just at a sudden give it up. You must do spiritual activity and godly. You become purified. You think of Krishna, you have Krishna in the mind will become purified. You hear about the scriptures and Bhagavad Gita, your intelligence becomes purified from lust. Because Krishna has said before to Arjuna, the sitting place of this lust is the intelligence, the mind, the senses, and so on. That, So one can say as that I'm trying to come to a platform where I'm not at the present. Right? Right. But by following rules and regulations in the scriptures, Bhakti Sastri, you will come to that platform. And once you come to the spiritual platform, you don't need to follow rules and regulations. You identify with your spiritual self. Then your attraction to Krishna is spontaneous. But that's a high platform. The gopis, they don't have to chant their rounds. They always think of Krishna. So, any questions on this chapter? That,
No, Maharaj.
yes, no problem.
Nothing, Maharaj. Nothing is there.
No. Okay. No questions. Good. Then we will go to chapter 17 and look at the first verses. Chapter 17 is divisions of faith. So we have heard chapter 16, the followers of Shastra, they are divine, and the faithless, they are demonic. But if someone, Arjuna will make the point, but if someone has faith, not in the Shastra, but in something else, that what is his destination? And Krishna will describe how the modes of nature will determine a person's faith, his worship, and what he eats. We will hear. And that's interesting. We will hear about food here in this chapter. That and chapter 1, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes gives like a summary of this chapter, which I will read. We will first bring the first verse on the screen. Share screen. Up. So we have divisions of faith. Arjuna Uvacha Yeshastra Vidimutrija Yante Shradayam Vitaha Desham Nishtatuka Krishna Sattvan Au Rajastamaha. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? So, in the purport, in the 4th chapter, 39th verse, It is said that the person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of prosperity. Srila Prabhupada said in verse 39 of the 4th chapter. I read that verse again. 4:39. That's Shadavallabhate Jnanam Tatpara Samyatandriya Jnanam Labva Param Samtim Ashranati Gacchati. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. A faithful man to transcendent, dedicated to transcendental knowledge. So in the 4th chapter, 39th verse, it is said that the person who is faithful to a particular worship type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge, yes, and attains the highest perfection stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scripture is called an asura, a demon. One who follows the scriptural injunctions is called a deva or demigod. Now, if one's faith, he follows some rules, but they are not mentioned in the scriptures, what's going to happen with that person? The doubt of Arjuna is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by us selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves in the highest perfectional stage? Do those who do not follow the rules and regulations of scriptures, but who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods and man, attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions before Krishna. So he inquires about the position of one who has faith. He follows some rules and regulations, but they are not mentioned in the scriptures. What's going to happen with this person? So Lord Krishna starts to reply, and thus the basis is applies the basis of this 17th chapter, where he again will speak about the modes of nature. But this time he will speak about his modes of nature in terms of one's person's faith on the beginning, in their worship and their eating. Bhagavan Vacha Trivida Bhavati Shada Deinam Svasva Bhavacha Satvikiracha Si Seva Tamsi Seta Tamshinam. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now, hear about this. So, people who do not follow the scripture, their faith is in a particular mode, because these instructions he followed are in a particular mode. That, yes. So, but of course, that's not the way to make spiritual advancement. The way to make spiritual advancement, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, you must accept a bona fide spiritual master. That is required. Yeah. So those, yeah. So Prabhupada starts the purport. Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures without laziness or indolence give up these rules and regulations are governed by the modes of material nature. So they will not transcend the modes. They are governed by these modes according to their previous activities that which were in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. They will achieve a certain specific quality of life. Yeah, one must give up this association with material nature. One can only give it up if one follows Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. But first Guru, the Guru that he can explain you how to follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures. So that in that way you can change your position from ignorance, passion, goodness to pure goodness. That transcendental goodness by engagement in devotional service. So this blind faith in a particular mode cannot help a person to help him, to elevate him. But one must consider things with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Then one can change one to a higher position. And now text 3. Text 3 is like the essence of the chapter. The essence of this entire chapter. That's Satvana Rupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata. Shraddha Mayo Yam Purusho Yashat Shraddha Saivasha. O sign of Bharat, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. Living being is said to be in a particular faith according to the modes he had acquired. So we see most world religions, the practitioners are in certain modes. That there are religions which allow to kill animals or certain animals and eat some not, and some you can eat. That's the mode of ignorance, faith in the mode of ignorance. But we cannot say Christians are in the mode of ignorance. There are also like Christians who follow the rules and regulations. The 10 Commandments are like our 4 regulated principles, then who follow them. But it's very rare that like when Srila Prabhupada was in Australia, I was visiting the first Franciscaner brothers, followers of Francis from Assisi, who was vegetarian and who followed many of our principles and we saw the Supreme Lord in the trees, in the birds, and so on, Paramatma, that Srila Prabhupada told them, they are also Vaishnavas. Interesting that he said that. So we cannot judge religions on based on that, but based on their activities, what they do, we can understand how the modes are active, and we will learn about that here. Thus, according to his particular type of faith, one associates with certain persons. Now, the real fact is that every living being, as stated in the 15th chapter, is originally a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all the modes of nature. But when one forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of God and then comes in contact with material nature, in conditioned life, he generates his own position by association with different varieties of nature. And that's what happened. So faith is born of goodness, but when it becomes mixed with passion and ignorance, then different varieties of religion are created, Srila Prabhupada writes. That because sometimes we think, yes, well, I thought in the beginning that I remember when I came to, I think that's in the 6th chapter, 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. Yeah. Krishna says that also in Bhagavad Gita. What I meant to say is that in the beginning, when I came to Krishna consciousness, I was thinking, God is a blue colored boy? How is that? How is that there are millions of spiritual inclined people in the world, or many religions? Why don't they have the realization that Krishna is a blue collar boy? That's a challenging question. But of course, we have heard before, I think it's in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Manushyanam sasisu kashitya dasidai yatam avisidnam kashimam vititatva. Out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. And in the Bhagavatam, there is the similar statements by Sukadev Swami. Muktanam api sidanam narayana parayana siddhalva prashantasna kotisapi mamuni. O sage, among millions and millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan. Such devotees are very peaceful and are extremely rare. Among millions of who have attained liberation, who are in perfect knowledge of liberation. Well, tell me, where is this perfect knowledge of liberation? In Christianity, in the Islam, and all the other religions. I didn't find it there. The beginning is you must know you are a spirit soul different from the body. And it's not there just. That's the problem. Because they cannot attain liberation without that knowledge. And those who are perfect in that liberation, among thousands of people, of them, maybe one becomes a devotee of Krishna. How rare it is. That is, and that we learn also from this chapter. Most of religions, they are the practitioners in these modes. But one must become cleansed from this material contamination. And then only one can regain our relationship with Krishna. One can know Krishna and have knowledge of the relationship and engage in this relationship, which is devotional service. So how rare are devotees of Krishna? So we must become completely purified. So that the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita brings us to this pure goodness, transcendental goodness, which is purified goodness. That's transcendental, no tinge of passion or ignorance. And then one can understand the real nature of Krishna. So these contaminated modes of material nature enter our heart, and that's the problem. That we must develop the mode of goodness. And in the mode of goodness, you can understand things as they are. So the real principle of religion is situated in that mode of goodness, pure mode goodness. That because if the heart is tainted by these modes of nature, then one acts according to different types of faith and different kinds of worship in these modes. And that's very important to understand. That is an essential verse. So what to do, Krishna explains in text 4. Yayanti satvikade vam yaksha raksham shirajasa pretam buddhaganam sanye yanti tamasa jana. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, men in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship the ghosts and spirits. So here it's about their worship. But of course, devotees, they worship Vishnu in transcendental goodness. So these are different kinds of worship in terms of the worshipper, external worship. That they worship demigods, demons, or ghosts and spirits, we can know, oh, yeah, it's this mode of nature. So those in goodness worship a demigod for a particular purpose. Srila Prabhupada said that during the Second World War, there was a man in Calcutta who worshipped Hitler because of the war, he could get a large amount of wealth by dealings in the black market. But those in the mode of passion and ignorance, they select the power man to be God. And then they think that anyone can be worshipped as God and you will get the same result. And sexual service is in the mode of darkness. God worship is for those who are transcendentally situated. Yes, the conclusion, Srila Prabhupada says, the different qualities of material modes of nature can be purified through association with persons who are transcendental nature. So we must associate with pure devotees. That's the point here. Those who have developed love of Krishna. Yes. Now text 5, 6. Acts of penances that we'll hear about them. That is acts of penances, and then we will hear about food. So 5, 6. Ashastravitam goram tapyante tapojana damba ankara samyukta kamara balam vita kasayanta srirastam bhutakama shestasa manshevanta srirastam tatvitya suranishayan. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performed and out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust attachment, who are foolish and will torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. So those in the mode of ignorance, they manufacture their own ways of austerities and penances. They neglect the scriptures. And it's said they torture themselves, but also the super soul within who feels the same thing. That's interesting. So these kind of austerities are not mentioned in the scriptures. But why are they doing these penances? Actually, they do it out of pride, false ego, lust, attachment for material enjoyment. But such activities not only the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed is disturbed, but also the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the body. One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people as described in the previous chapter. The Lord forces them to take birth in wombs of demoniac people. Consequently, they will live by demoniac principles life after life without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they live and they make their own way of austerities and penances. They neglect the scriptures, torture their own body, and also Krishna within. Rukmini, what's the news?
Maharaj, I want to ask something. As we are talking about
You are not audible. I don't know that if you can speak louder or that there's something with your mic. We don't hear you clearly.
am I better now?
That's better, yeah.
Is my okay? Maharaj, I want to ask that as of course this was we are talking about people who are in ignorance, but if this one question is coming in my mind that we also keep fast and fast means that of course which body needs sometimes water and we are not giving on Zilla or sometimes on Ekadashis also like but the body needs something but we don't give. We do some penance for the pleasure of Lord. But as I'm reading in the Super Soul, that Super Soul also suffers with the soul. So in when we fast, so does Super Soul also suffer, Maharaj?
No, the super soul is happy because you are following the scriptures. You are following the scriptures. And it's good for the body to fast regularly. That it will purify the body. The body, your digestion and so on needs some help, some rest also. Like today here, I'm in France in New Mayapur, and we came all together at noon to have Puspanjali because for Bhakti Maharaj who disappeared 2 years ago on this day. And all the disciples fasted till noontime. And you feel when you fast, you feel more peaceful. And yes, it's good for the body. Therefore, but we should only fast when the scriptures say we should fast on Ekadashi, that and not unnecessarily. That if we follow the scripture, that's all right. We'll be okay.
Then Super Soul is happy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, then we have a few verses. We go to till verse 10. We will now speak about food. And then tomorrow we will finish chapter 17. And then we have 3 days left for 18, which are 6 lessons. That's good. Now about food, text 7. Aharastvapi sarvasya trivido bhavati priya chakyastapastata danam tesham veda imam shvinu. Even the food each person prefers is of 3 kinds, according to the 3 modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerity, and charity. Now here of the distinctions between them. That so Krishna is saying, according to the way one eats or performs sacrifice of austerity or gives charity, that yeah, you can see in which modes there are. Just by studying their eating, you can know that. But the conclusion is we should only take Krishna Prasad. That, yeah. Otherwise, remnants are in the mode of ignorance, and they can increase infection and disease. Srila Prabhupada says that. So those who consider all kinds of sacrifice of food or charity to be the same cannot discriminate, and they are foolish. They are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection, but that's not true. Okay, we hear now about the mode of goodness and then the mode of passion and ignorance. I'm going to read verse 8 and 9 because in the purport of 10, Srila Prabhupada explains everything about food. That so 8, 9, and 10. Ayu sattva bala rokya sukha priti vivardana kasaya snita stira ridya ahara sattvika priya. Food dear to those in the mode of goodness increases the duration of life, purifies one's existence, and gives strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such food are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. The mode of goodness. The 9. Katvam la lavanatusna diksha ruksha vidahina ahara rasya shista Dukasukha maya pradam. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are for those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. Then ignorance. Yatayat yamam katarajam putti puyasitam sayat ushistina pasamebhyam. Bhojanam tamasapaya. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is stateless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to some in the mode of darkness. So Srila Prabhupada writes here in the purport that the purpose of food is to increase the duration of life, purify the mind, and aid bodily strength. So milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables, they are the best for health. They are very dear to mode in the mode of goodness. All these foods are pure by nature. Fatty food, as mentioned in the 8th verse, have no connection with animal fat obtained by slaughter. Animal fat is available in the form of milk, which is the most wonderful of all foods. Milk, butter, cheese, and similar products give animal fat in the form which rules out any need for killing the innocent creatures. Slaughter is the way of subhumans. Protein is amply available through split peas, dal, whole wheat, etc. Foods in the mode of passion, which are bitter, too salty, and too hot, are overly mixed with red pepper, cause misery by reducing the mucus in the stomach, leading to disease. Food in the mode of ignorance are darkness, are essentially those who are not fresh. Any food cooked more than 3 hours before it's eaten, except prasadam, food offered to the Lord, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. Because they are decomposed, such foods give a bad odor, which often attracts people in this mode, but repulses those in the mode of goodness. Remnants of food may be eaten only when they are part of a meal, which was first offered to the Supreme Lord, or first eaten by saintly persons, especially the spiritual master. Otherwise, remnants of food are considered to be in the mode of darkness, and they increase infection and disease. The best food is remnants, what is offered to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord accepts preparation of vegetables, flour, and milk, which are offered by devotion. Putram Pashtam Phalam Tuyam. Any food prepared by the injunctions of the scripture and offered to the Supreme Lord can be taken if prepared long, long ago. Because such food is transcendental, therefore, to make food antiseptic, eatable, and palatable for all, one should offer food to the Supreme Personality of God. So that it's a lot of knowledge that sure there's a lot to say about food on the Rukmini.
Maharaj, little question, small question.
Yes,
Maharaj, once if we offered the bhoga to Lord and after 3 hours, it's not like in any Rajogun and Tamogun. It's still in a, then it's still in a Satogun. If
and
it's offered 3 hours.
like we are making burfi, you make burfi, it's a long time. But then we offer it to the Supreme Lord. First, milk is in goodness, milk and sugar. And it's cooked for a long time, but the purpose is to offer it to the Supreme Lord. And that's what Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, except for food offered to the Lord. But sometimes we are also offering things in the mode of passion to the Lord, like chutney. Chutney, it's a lot of chili, and that's the mode of passion. But you must have some piments, some spicy things in the chutney. It must be sweet and spicy at the same time. Yes, but there are also untouchable things we don't offer, and also vegetables in the mode of ignorance we don't offer. And like we have, in the mode of ignorance, you have, how does it call in English?
Mushroom, Maharaj.
This?
Mushroom.
Mushrooms we don't offer. That, but also, onions we don't offer. That and all those with that family that we don't offer. It goes in the darkness under the ground. That these are not offerable. There are not so many, but of the vegetables, but we cannot offer these. Because it's understood if you use people who are eating spicy, it will cause disease, Srila Prabhupada said. It causes disease. So we have to be very balanced. But it's prepared with love for the Supreme Lord, and by that it becomes transcendental. This knowledge is important. Too bitter, too salt. We may take it, but a little, not much. Otherwise, it will cause disease. Because many times we prepare Kerala, it's bitter, and there are other bitter vegetables, and that's good. But it's one of the preparations. When I was in Raders in Belgium, I prepared a few times the Raj Bhog, and it's 15 preparations. You have 2 hours to prepare everything, and it must be in time. It's yeah, but it's all mostly in the mode of goodness, some passion. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, little one thing. If just take example of rice or wheat. If we are offering to Krishna, and after 3 years, will it come in the lower mode? If it's offered and I'm honoring after 3 hours. You
It's
took the Burfi example. You took the example of Burfi. That very nice. That I understood.
yeah,
But rice or wheat or chapati or dal or sabzi.
yeah, that should have the appropriate time for cooking, not too long. That's not good. That then the rice becomes mushy and not nice. That, yeah, but I think you all know to cook very well. Without it, will not be a problem. Good. Thank you. Anything else?
Maharaj, one thing I wanted to
Yeah.
ask, like betel leaves, we offer it to the Lord, but we don't honor it. Like, what is the reason for that? I tried to find that like lot, like reading Prabhupada purpose or anywhere, but I didn't find any reason for that.
Betel leaves. Yeah. I don't know. I can't answer that question, but I understand it's something for enjoyment, but I never ate it myself, so I cannot answer it. But if someone can do research on that, would be good. Gaurav Prabhu, do you have the answer? No.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, am I audible, Maharaj?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Maharaj, I wanted to ask regarding our OBS.
Regarding
OBA.
phobias. What is phobias?
Yeah, so which question
Maharaj,
should we select?
he's asking about the open book assessment questions.
Yeah, so
Yeah, the open book assessment questions. Yeah, I got that message from from Chahadanista Prabhu. Please let me know the open book assessment questions. I will look at it and I will send them to Chahadanista Prabhu. That I will look at it. That I just received a request and that's my homework. Is that okay? Good.
Yes, Maharaj.
Any other questions? No. Then we see each other tomorrow at the usual time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.